call Mom Dukes.
Hi.
She's getting a drip with me. She's hydrating. What's up, Mom?
Everything's good, baby. I'm here with you.
Yeah.
I love you.
We all thought Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, had nothing to do with his recent arrest. But it turns out the story is way more twisted than anyone imagined.
Breaking news tonight, Shawn Diddy Combs has been arrested in a Manhattan hotel this evening after a grand jury indicted the music mogul. His attorney tells CNN that he is currently being processed.
Diddy's arrest has revealed the shocking connection between Janice's dark past and Diddy's crimes, and it is raising a lot of questions. They have lived together for years, and now fans are wondering if she knew about everything he has been involved in. So how exactly is her past connected to Diddy's crimes? Let's find out. Janice Combs' past. Janice Combs is not just Diddy's mom. She has had quite a life herself, filled with ups and downs that you might not know about. She was born in December 1940 and grew up in a world where hard work was just a part of life. But it is the choices and events that happened later on that truly shaped her. Before she became the woman we see at red carpet events, Janice was dealing with some serious challenges. But let's start from the beginning. Janice met and married Melvin Combs, and things were looking good. Together, they had 2 kids, Kesha and Shawn, who we all know today as Diddy. But life had other plans. When Diddy was just 3 years old, tragedy hit the family. Her husband, Melvin, passed away, and suddenly Janice was left to raise 2 kids on her own. Now think about that for a second. You have 2 young children, you have just lost your partner, and you are stuck in a tough neighborhood trying to figure out how to keep everything together. That's what Janice was up against. But instead of falling apart, she did what any determined mother would do. She got to work. Janice had no choice but to juggle multiple jobs just to make sure her kids had what they needed. She didn't sit around and wait for someone to help her. She worked as a daycare teacher, taking care of other people's kids during the day. When that was not enough, she picked up a job as a school bus driver and even worked as an attendant for kids with special needs. Janice was not just trying to survive. She wanted her kids to have more than she did. At the time, Harlem was not exactly the easiest place to raise a family. It was vibrant, sure, but it had its challenges. There was crime, there was poverty. Janice had to protect her kids from all that, and she did it the best way she knew how, by moving them to a better place. So when Diddy was 12, they packed up and moved to Mount Vernon, New York. Now, Mount Vernon was not Harlem. It had front yards, trees, and a whole lot more peace and quiet. It was a fresh start, a safer place for Diddy to grow up. And even though Harlem would always be a part of their lives because they still visited Diddy's grandma, who stayed behind, this move gave him new opportunities. It showed that Janice was not afraid to make big changes if it meant a better life for her family. She was the type of mom who did whatever it took. Now, while Janice was working hard to provide for her family, she was also teaching Diddy some important life lessons. She didn't just want him to sit around while she did all the work. He had to pitch in too. Diddy got his first taste of responsibility when he started a paper route as a young boy. He saw firsthand how hard his mom worked and understood early on that success does not come easy. That's something that would stick with him throughout his entire career. By the time Diddy was ready for college, it was clear that Janice's hard work was paying off. He got into Howard University, which is a pretty big deal for any parent, especially for someone like Janice, who had worked so hard to get him to that point. But then Diddy made a decision that most parents would be nervous about. He dropped out of college to pursue his music career. You can bet Janice was not thrilled about that. After all, she had spent years making sure he had every opportunity to succeed. But even though she was disappointed, she still supported him. She trusted that he knew what he was doing, and as we all know now, Diddy made the right call. As Diddy's career took off, Janice's sacrifices didn't go unnoticed. He made sure his mom was taken care of. He named his music publishing company after her, which is a pretty clear sign of how much he appreciated everything she did for him. And it was not just behind the scenes. Janice became a familiar face in the spotlight too. She was often seen at major events right by Diddy's side, and she was not just there to be Diddy's mom. She had her own sense of style, her own personality, and people loved her for it.
She's so picky, they don't stand. But yeah, that'd be the funniest show in the world.
It will be, especially with me.
I don't even want to get started with you doing that. We're not doing that, because
Janice even appeared on shows like America's Next Top Model and True Hollywood Story. Her bold fashion choices and fun personality made her stand out, and it was clear that she had a lot of life in her. This was not a woman who let life beat her down. She thrived in her own way, and she made sure to enjoy the fruits of her labor. But there is something else about Janice that often gets overlooked. Behind the spotlight and fame, she is still that hardworking woman who spent years making sure her kids had a chance at a better life. She is proof that you can come from humble beginnings, face major hardships, and still make something out of your life. She didn't let tragedy define her. Instead, she used it as fuel to push herself and her family forward. Now the question is, what was the dark thing about her past that has just come to light? The big secret. Turns out Janice Combs has been hiding something heavy, something far more complex than we could have imagined for all these years. Despite her public image, she carried a deep, personal pain that very few knew about. And the truth is, it is not just a sad story, but one that is tied to a dark part of her past that eventually influenced Diddy's actions today. So, what is her big secret? For years, Janice told Diddy that his father, Melvin Combs, had died in a car accident. She stuck to this story, not because it was true, but because it was easier than the real story, which was way more tragic. When you think about it, what mom would want to tell her kid that their dad was involved in some shady stuff that got him killed? Not exactly the kind of bedtime story you would want to tell your kid. But the truth is, Melvin didn't die in a car crash. He was murdered in a drug deal gone wrong. Now, why would Janice keep this from Diddy for so long? She wanted to protect him from the painful truth of losing his father. Yes, but it is way deeper than that. Janice knew the streets, she knew what her husband had been involved in, and she knew what could have easily sucked Diddy into the same path. Harlem in the 70s was not a playground, and she did everything she could to steer him away from the mess his father had been in. In her mind, the less Diddy knew, the better his chances were of avoiding that dangerous world. But then things start to fall apart. You cannot hide the truth forever, especially from someone as determined as Diddy. As he got older, he started to piece things together. He was not content with the car accident story, and eventually he uncovered the real reason his father was killed. And let's be real, that must have hit hard. Learning that your father was involved in a drug deal gone bad is a complete shattering of everything you thought you knew. Janice's decision to hide this truth may have been made with good intentions. But was it the right move? Maybe not. By keeping Diddy in the dark, she might have thought she was shielding him from his father's past. But was she also fueling his need to rebel, to prove something to the world? Think about it.
I mean, that's what music gives you the power to do. And I think that, once you're ready to share it with your fans and the world, then nobody could judge it. They have to accept what it is. And I thought it was dope.
Diddy didn't exactly grow up to lead the quiet life. His relentless ambition, his risk-taking attitude, and even the horrible crimes that have just been exposed could all be linked back to that one big secret. Did Janice, in trying to protect him, actually push him closer to the very world she wanted him to avoid? Now let's talk about the ripple effect this secret had on Diddy's nature and some of the questionable choices he has made. Diddy has been involved in some shady business over the years, from allegations of violence to connections with criminal elements. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? You start to wonder, was Diddy destined to repeat the mistakes of his father because the truth was hidden for so long? Could things have turned out differently if he had known the whole story earlier? What's even more disturbing is that people are starting to connect the dots. Some fans and critics are speculating that Janice might have known more about Diddy's shady dealings than she has let on. After all, they have lived together for years, and you cannot live with someone that long without knowing a little something about what they are up to. Could Janice have turned a blind eye to Diddy's more questionable activities because she felt guilty about her own past? And let's not forget the FBI's involvement now. With Diddy's recent arrest, all eyes are on Janice. How is she going to handle this situation now? It is hard not to wonder whether Janice's decisions from years ago somehow played a role in shaping Diddy's criminal behavior. It is like the skeletons in her closet are coming back to haunt her, and the timing could not be worse. Diddy's arrest has opened up Pandora's box, and Janice's big secret is not so secret anymore. While she might have thought she was doing the right thing by hiding the truth, the consequences of that decision are finally catching up with her and her son. The sad truth is that sometimes, in trying to protect those we love, we end up doing more harm than good. Janice's decision to shield Diddy from his father's dark past didn't stop him from falling into the same traps. Instead, it might have pushed him even closer to the edge. And now, with his recent arrest and awaiting trial, it is clear that the choices she made all those years ago are far from forgotten. So how did this big secret that she had been hiding from Diddy impact his behavior? Is there any connection between Diddy's crimes and his father's death? Diddy's arrest? Let's start with the obvious. Diddy grew up thinking his dad died in a car accident. For a long time, that was the story Janice stuck to. But as he got older, Diddy found out the truth. His father, Melvin Combs, didn't die in some random accident. He was murdered in a drug deal gone wrong. Imagine growing up and learning that your dad was not just a victim of a tragic accident, but someone who got mixed up in illegal activities and paid the ultimate price for it. That kind of information does not just slide off your back. Janice may have kept the truth from Diddy to protect him, but did it really work? On one hand, she was trying to shield him from the dangerous world his father was involved in, but on the other, hiding that truth may have left Diddy with more questions than answers. The secrecy, the confusion, those things build up over time, and maybe that's part of why Diddy's life spiraled in the ways it did. When you look at Diddy's life, it is not hard to see the connection between his father's fate and the choices he has made. He grew up surrounded by hustle, survival, and the idea that power and control were everything. His father's death, while tragic, set the stage for a life filled with ambition, but also with danger and risk. It is almost as if Diddy was determined to prove that he could make it to the top, no matter what the cost, and let's just say, the cost has been high. Diddy's crimes didn't happen overnight. This is someone who has been surrounded by controversy for decades, and his recent arrest is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's take a look at the mess he has gotten himself into over the years. First, there is the incident from 1999 that most people remember, the nightclub shooting. Diddy, his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, and rapper Shine were at Club New York in Manhattan when shots were fired. It turned into a huge scandal, with Diddy facing multiple weapons charges. He managed to walk away from that one without a conviction, but it set a precedent. From there, his legal troubles only escalated. Then in 2023, Cassie Ventura, a former artist signed to Diddy's label, and his ex-girlfriend, filed a lawsuit accusing him of rape and abuse.
A lawsuit filed against Shawn Diddy Combs accuses the music performer and executive of rape, physical abuse. The singer Cassie says the incidents occurred throughout her 10-year relationship with Combs. Her suit was filed under a law that allows alleged sexual offense victims to file past the statute of limitations. Cassie says she wanted to speak out before that law expires next week. Mr. Combs has denied all the allegations.
Cassie said that Diddy controlled and manipulated her for years, subjecting her to violence and psychological abuse. The lawsuit was shocking, to say the least. And even though Diddy settled the case quickly with no admission of guilt, of course, the damage to his reputation was done. People were starting to see a pattern, and that was not the only lawsuit. Around the same time, Joy Dickerson-Neal came forward, accusing Diddy of drugging and sexually assaulting her back in 1991 when she was a college student.
A new civil lawsuit against Shawn Diddy Combs accuses him of Combs already faces allegations of abuse from at least 8 people. He denies those claims. Roxana Saberi has more, and some of the details are disturbing.
She claimed that not only did Diddy assault her, but he also recorded the act and showed the footage to others. Once again, Diddy's team denied the allegations, but the accusations kept piling up. By 2024, Diddy was facing even more lawsuits. One of the most disturbing came from producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, who claimed that Diddy coerced him into engaging in non-consensual sexual activities with women that Diddy had arranged.
Shut! A new civil lawsuit claims Shawn Diddy Combs repeatedly passed off dancer and adult film actress Adria English to be sexually assaulted by partygoers during events at his New York and Miami houses between 2006 and 2009. In the suit, English claims Combs forced her to drink copious amounts of alcohol and consume narcotics, groomed her, and then used his power and influence to threaten and intimidate her.
Jones described these extravagant, drug-fueled parties where illegal activities were rampant, and Diddy was at the center of it all. The accusations were explosive, and they further complicated Diddy's already chaotic legal situation. Then there is the arrest in 2024, which is what really brought everything to a head.
Breaking news, the Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Shawn Diddy Combs.
Diddy was hit with charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. According to the grand jury indictment, Diddy and his associates were involved in a disturbing operation that exploited vulnerable individuals. The charges detailed how Diddy allegedly manipulated and coerced women into compromising situations, using fear and intimidation to maintain control over them. It is a terrifying picture of someone who, for years, was seen as a larger-than-life figure in the entertainment world. And that's not all. Diddy's properties in Los Angeles, New York, and Miami were raided earlier in 2024 by federal agents. They seized electronic devices and other materials as part of an ongoing investigation. So is there a connection between his father's death and the crimes he is now accused of? Absolutely. Diddy grew up in a world of power, control, and secrecy. He saw firsthand how dangerous life could be. But instead of running away from it, he seems to have embraced it. His father's death may have been the catalyst, but Diddy made his own choices that led him down a very dark path, and now those choices are catching up with him. So what has been Janice Combs' influence on Diddy through all of this? Janice Combs' influence. Janice Combs has had a huge influence on Diddy's life. There is no denying that. From the very beginning, she has been by his side, helping shape who he became both personally and professionally. But with that influence comes a lot of questions, especially now that Diddy's facing some serious legal trouble. How much of what Diddy has done is tied back to Janice's role in his life? One of the most obvious examples of Janice's influence was back in 2001, when Diddy was in the middle of a highly publicized trial for weapons possession and bribery charges. While his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, was not always present, Janice was there at nearly every session. She would not just sit in the courtroom, though. She would bring homemade lunches for Diddy, making sure her son had chicken sandwiches and juice to get him through the day. It is the kind of thing only a mom would do, right? But it was not just about the food. Janice made sure that her support was loud and clear. Even when the charges were serious, she didn't flinch. When asked by the media if she was worried, she confidently stated that she was not concerned and that her son would not be found guilty. That kind of unshakable belief in his innocence is not just about being a supportive mom. It shows how deep her trust in Diddy's character runs. Diddy himself has talked about how much his mother's presence during the trial meant to him. He said it gave him the strength to face what seemed like an impossible situation. Her support was something he could lean on when everything else felt unstable. And that's been the story throughout his career. Whether it was personal struggles or professional challenges, Janice was always there to steady him. But while Janice has clearly been a huge source of strength for Diddy,
Hey, do we have footage of this? Or yes, or just stills of you? I didn't know you were surfing now. That's amazing. Look at you.
Yeah,
That's
just came
not-
out the water like that.
her role in his life also comes with some questions. Diddy's career has been plagued by a series of legal issues, scandals, and allegations. And it is hard not to wonder, has Janice's unwavering support contributed to Diddy avoiding real consequences for his actions? Take, for example, the time Valletta Wallace, the mother of the notorious B.I.G., publicly expressed her disappointment in Diddy after seeing a disturbing video of him involved in a physical altercation with Cassie. Wallace said she was ashamed and embarrassed by Diddy's behavior, going as far as to suggest that he needed a motherly slap and should apologize not just to Cassie, but to his own mother, Janice. Wallace's comments bring up an important point. Has Janice, in her role as a supportive mother, ever held Diddy accountable for his behavior? It is a tough question, and there is no easy answer. After all, she is a mother. She is going to stand by her son, no matter what. But at what point does support turn into enabling? Janice's influence on Diddy goes beyond just being there during tough times. She has been deeply involved in his professional life too. From the early days, she was by his side as he built his career, watching him transform from a young entrepreneur into a global icon. Her belief in him was validation that he was on the right path. That kind of confidence can be empowering, but it can also lead to a sense of invincibility, which might explain some of Diddy's more questionable decisions. Critics have questioned whether Janice's constant presence and support.
You know, it's like you sit in one of those chairs that you get back massages in, and
who wants to be pushing you while there's got a needle?
No.
You can't be massaged.
Oh man, I'm confusing y'all again. No.
Have allowed Diddy to avoid facing the full consequences of his actions. While her influence has undoubtedly been a source of strength for him, it is worth considering whether that same influence has also contributed to his sense of being untouchable. After all, when you have someone in your corner who believes in you no matter what, it can be easy to convince yourself that you are always in the right. As Diddy faces new legal challenges, the role Janice has played in his life will likely come under more scrutiny. Whether her influence has been for better or worse, one thing we know for sure is that Janice has been, and continues to be, a defining figure in Diddy's life. So where is she now? Now that Diddy has been arrested and denied bail twice, what is she doing to help her son? Where is she now? As of 2024, Janice Combs finds herself in a difficult position, one that no mother wants to be in. Her son Diddy is facing some of the most serious legal challenges of his life, and the intense public scrutiny is taking a toll on her health. Earlier this year in July, Janice was rushed to the hospital after experiencing chest pain, a moment that raised concern among her family and close friends. The exact cause of her health scare remains unclear, but many point to the stress brought on by Diddy's legal problems. Let's face it, watching your child go through such intense public and legal battles cannot be easy, especially when the world is watching and judging your every move. Despite all this, Janice has remained fiercely loyal to her son. Even though she has been dealing with health problems of her own, including brain surgery earlier in the year, she has continued to stand by him through thick and thin. When Diddy was arrested in September 2024 and held without bond at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, Janice was right there trying to help. His legal team pulled out all the stops to try and secure his release. They didn't just propose some small-time bail, they went all in with a $50 million bond package. That included putting up Diddy's $48 million Miami mansion, and guess what? Janice even co-signed her own house to sweeten the deal. Was it a desperate attempt? Absolutely.
People know that you're successful, they know that you do music, but you're very generous, and opening 3 schools is a big deal, so congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's purpose-driven entrepreneurship, you know?
But it just shows how far Janice is willing to go to support her son, even when the stakes are sky high. And it didn't stop there. Diddy's legal team also proposed home detention with GPS monitoring, hoping the judge would go for it. Diddy, his mom, and even his daughters handed over their passports as if that would be enough to convince the court that Diddy was not a flight risk. But despite all of these efforts, the judge was not having it. The court expressed concerns about witness tampering, and with charges this serious, the risk was just too great to allow Diddy out on bail. It has got to be heartbreaking for Janice. She has done everything she can to help, and yet she is watching her son remain behind bars. And the stress of it all is clearly taking a toll on her. While doctors have not pinpointed the exact cause of her chest pains, it does not take a genius to figure out that the emotional strain of everything going on with Diddy could be a major factor. Janice has been living independently in Miami, not far from Diddy's home, but as things have gotten more intense with his legal battles, she has been spending more time with him and the rest of the family. Reports suggest that Diddy has been retreating from the public eye, focusing more on his family during this challenging time, and Janice has been a key part of that support system. Despite everything, she is still holding on, doing what she can for her son. The toll of Diddy's legal issues has not just impacted Janice's health, it has changed her life in a way she probably never imagined. This is not the glamorous lifestyle people often associate with being the mother of a global music icon. Instead, she has found herself in the middle of a legal mess that is drawing more attention than she has ever wanted. It is one thing to support your son's career and be there for the highs, but this is a whole new level of pressure. Still, Janice has remained resilient. Despite the health scares, despite the public scrutiny, she has continued to stand by Diddy's side, just like she always has. Today, Janice's world looks very different from the one she might have imagined. Instead of celebrating her son's success, she is dealing with the fallout of his legal troubles and trying to protect her own health in the process. It is a far cry from the glamorous life she once lived, attending events and being seen as the mother of a music legend. So do you think it was Janice's dark past and her big lie that led Diddy to commit the crimes? Share your opinion with us in the comments below. If you want more shocking updates, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we have got a lot more of this. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.